This is what it sounds like to try to put a couple of differing fields of material together in a way to try to summon a greater power and a greater energy, trying to cling together differing symbols to call upon something that in essence is spiritually aligned with a power that exists above. But it's not exactly something that's completely mystical. It's something like Captain Planet, he's a hero in a past cartoon world that was known as Captain Planet. That is what we are trying to make a slight reference to in today's podcast. Yeah. Welcome to the news, by the way. Welcome to the news. So, what we're sort of aiming to try to do a little bit in the future is trying to align with something that has to do with ultimately trying to connect with people in a little bit of a different fashion, one day at a time, and try to connect with yesterday, and trying to connect with yesterday month, and trying to connect with the month before that, about a month and a half ago, approximately, where in essence what we're trying to do in this day and age is trying to recalibrate and reconnect all of those past aspects and parts and pieces together and align them with an energy that sort of is meant to cling together to make that cling-clang type of sound like we made in the very beginning, to be able to try to make a new energy and develop a new type of a friction that is able to send off this energy into the sky, in essence, into just at the same time be able to try to call upon something that's similar to Captain Planet. Something similar to Captain Planet, but it's not exactly Captain Planet. It's like a figment of something that resembles what Captain Planet was in essence, which was the essence of trying to leverage teamwork and be able to put teamwork together by having a bit of a team to begin with, to be able to have something be called upon that ultimately comes from the symbol of different symbols coming together to be able to make a different bit of a force that is a little bit more when it's synthesized, and then it calls upon a greater energy which is able to then synthesize and then develop a cause and effect that results in an effect that is greater than each of the individual parts individually. And that is the purpose of what we're trying to get at today in today's podcast, more or less. Whoa, whoa, yeah. So, how we hope to try to do this is one day at a time to be able to try to synthesize connections with different humans and try to develop different sort of collaborations similar to making music a little bit in the past. But one step at a time, we're trying to change the methodology just a little bit to be able to also flesh out or make a little bit more so the purpose and the interest of these different podcasts, like a little bit more clear in like blog format, for example, to be able to try to actually present them in blogs and then try to distribute those blogs a little bit to try to get people to get a sense of reading some of the blog methodology, which is sort of expressing and sort of more or less illustrating what each of these podcasts has been about for the last 200 episodes or so, to be able to just try to put a little bit of context to all this singing so people don't have to spend the time necessarily to be able to sit through all these podcasts, to be able to try to get a little bit of value from it necessarily, especially like the dog episodes, the dog and cat episodes, which are trying to get like develop action from, or some like activity or some like acknowledgement of the messages within each of the podcasts that corresponds to dogs and cats and the betterment of animal lives, more or less. So we're trying to make that as kind of like the first blog to be able to try to get people to actually be able to read that awareness and such things, but it's a little bit ambitious. So nonetheless, as we continue to try to make music, we're trying to, in essence, start what is like kind of like vibe journalism more or less, which is like combining the essence of all of the podcasts and then being able to try to shove them through the connection with different people to be able to then try to read their vibrations and then at the same time collaborate and connect firsthand with their vibrations to be able to send past podcasts through each of these people more or less to be able to try to make sound with them, make music with them. And just like today we did like a couple of tests, more or less we're trying to do a few more of those tests, but just kind of having fun making music is kind of the purpose of this. And then being able to try to shove different episodes into the music making aspect to be able to try to develop a little bit of a different context for each of the episodes of these past podcasts to be able to come together like Captain Planet in the air. And so all these different people, like in the future, if we can continue to try to do interviews where we're making music at the same time, where we're able to condense some of the interest of each of the past podcasts in the past to be able to try to have them come through the energy of the music making in the vibe journalism. So the vibe of the people is combined with the past episodes of specific podcasts in the past to be able to get certain methodologies and certain lessons to be able to come through, not just in blog format, but also in vibe journalism format. So we can try to apply some of the methodologies through some of a little bit of an interview with people before actually trying to make music or whatever in an ambitious sense, like we did a little bit of a test with today, and we're trying to do that with a relative, maybe to begin with, and such things to be able to try to test out this methodology, similar to Ari at Home. Ari at Home, we did like a little bit of an appearance on the music making show during the summertime, like the more middle of the summertime. Yeah, anyways, I'm not that good at making music still, but we're still trying to enhance and advance in that process and make progress and just trying to be able to, just like this podcast, be able to make day-to-day music with different people, and then also contextualize the past podcasts to be able to try to merge the two more or less activities so that past podcasts are able to merge with music making, in essence, by talking about some of the past podcasts in the beginning of some of the music making episodes of trying to make music live, in essence, to be able to synthesize some of the past podcast episodes to be able to, just like Captain Planet, be able to like match that with a blog so that in a sense that all of the reality of the realization of each individual past podcast is able to have a fleshed out message that's more elaborate and more consistent and more sort of consolidated, that's like, as opposed to these podcasts which tend to be long and like nobody actually really will ultimately listen to them after all. So the purpose is to be able to try to make music and have those synthesized between the lines of music making, in essence, so those connections to the blogs can connect to the music making aspect of the music making, which is live, in essence, with different people, in essence, that we're trying to test it out with a relative in the current day and as soon as tomorrow, perhaps, to be able to try to add value to these live casting music making processes, to be able to try to synthesize the past podcast just like Captain Planet, so each individual podcast from the past can try to be elaborated and talked about and spoken about a little bit more at a time, or chunked together with different podcast episodes in the past so we can find different themes and then chunk them together so that more chunks and more hunks of past podcast energy and past podcast synthetic synthesis conceptual pipelines are able to connect together and synthesize with each other to be able to develop more synergy with past podcasts in the present and the past, present, and future, to be able to try to develop value from them and impact value somehow, to be able to develop and generate awareness and action, hopefully, ultimately, and result in impact energy as a result, which then therefore leads to philanthropy energy generation. Philanthropy energy and generation is the whole purpose of Dinky Tech and Change for Game Studios as we continue to try to play on different stages as the days go past, and we're trying to make more music to be able to include the pipeline of the blog. Well, it is kind of a vlog doing interview, music live, which is kind of like on, which live streaming in essence. But so we're going to have to try to see how it all goes and see if we can consolidate it with a blog. So in essence, the blog is a symbol to connect with the streaming music, so that in essence, the connection with day-to-day podcasts are able to connect with the messages within blogs to be able to develop awareness for the purpose of each podcast that's existed in the past, to be able to try to develop awareness and pipeline these energies through these different people. And this is vibe journalism to develop pipelines of synthetic energy, to be able to pipeline the energy of past podcasts and be able to synthesize them in the blog format, to be able to pipeline this energy through the different people that we're trying to make music with live and like on camera or whatever, and like try to develop music live and do collaborative music live. But we're actually doing vibe journalism. We're doing the journalism that is a combination of these people and their vibes combined with the conceptual interview of conceptualizing with connections to past podcast episodes, in essence we're trying to decode and make more easy to understand in blogs in the future if possible, or consolidate messages to be able to develop impact in the future if possible, leveraging blogs, which just makes plain text out of the purpose of each of these podcasts in the past, to be able to try to leverage some sort of a practical application from past purposes of each podcast, to be able to leverage them into the future and future music making, to connect future music making with the connection of past podcast messaging, to then be able to combine that into a synthesized format to be able to pipeline that in vibe journalism, which goes through like a laser these human beings and like tries to track their energy and the new energy that we're making in these human beings as we're making music live and trying to make music live off of and mimicking music that is based upon the journalism of the existing vibrations that are being created within the humans as we talk about different podcasts from the past, from this Dinky Tech in the Nature of Love, to be able to try to acknowledge some of the past lessons, to be able to bring them about and bring out that energy and that vibration into the people before actually starting to make music with them live. And then iterating on what their energy is at that time and trying to collaborate and develop music at that time, at the current time, to be able to make music that is in essence like live iterations of the journalism of their vibes. We're live iterating journalism from their vibes. We're live journalism iterating from their vibes, and then we're connecting that with past podcast episodes to be able to develop the best frequency possible, to be able to try to leverage through these people as we make music with them, like a Captain Planet effect from all the past podcast episodes, to be able to try to develop practical energy, which tries to call upon a greater energy in the sky, which is similar to Captain Planet as a symbol. Captain Planet as a symbol, yeah, he's a hero, is what they used to say in that animated show. And so what we're trying to do is develop that sort of an effect, in essence, by developing this type of a vibration of vibration journalism, vibe journalism in the future, as we try to continue to make music with people live and different kinds of music that's hopefully just for fun, but we're trying to emulate these people's different vibrations by just connecting with what their tastes and their preferences are at the given time that we try to make music with them, so that in essence we're able to connect that with all the past episodes of this podcast, to be able to then have those all line, all the pictures, all the logos from all past podcast episodes in the past, to be able to have them all line up through the people and go synthesize through the people and develop new music through live vibe journalism, in essence, and then be able to try to connect new vibrational energy frequencies that were able to come out like laser beams from all these people and all of this collaboration and all of this music collaboration and all of this business music collaboration energy, to be able to try to move in the direction of developing more philanthropy energy in the future, synthesized through the purpose of moving all through human beings live vibe journalism energy, in essence, that hopefully tries to come together and synthesize all together as these days pass, as we continue to pass with the days passing, and more vibe journalism and more consistent, consecutive live vibe music making, journalism, vibration, development aspects of continuing to try to synthesize all these efforts, in essence, that we're able to develop some sort of a laser that connects and develops more like a Captain Planet type of a result, so that more of this Captain Planet energy is able to try to surface, to develop superhero type of energy, to be able to emerge from the sky from all this collaborative philanthropy energy, philanthropy energy, to be able to develop more superhero energy and asset energy, to be able to take care of more human beings in the world by developing more philanthropy energy, to be able to continue to develop the global philanthropy energy grid, which is where Captain Planet needs to fly. Captain Planet needs to fly, and all this energy of Captain Planet needs to fly within the global philanthropy energy grid. So let's make and continue to make this whole process to be able to make the ozone layer and make this atmosphere for Captain Planet to be able to fly up in, by continuing to add to the global philanthropy energy grid, and trying to continue to follow and hopefully support Dinky Tech and Change for Game Studios as the days pass, so we can try to continue to make progress and hopefully make some music that actually sounds like music someday in the hopefully near as opposed to far future, and hopefully just make weird sounds that ultimately can hopefully sound like music ultimately as well. Yeah, so hopefully wish us luck in that sense and such things, but that's all for now. Bye Dinky Tech, bye. Thanks, bye. Dinky Tech, Change for Game Studios, Dinky Tech, Change for Games. Bye, peace, bye.